What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Future Knight Eric here, and my word, it is good to be saying that again. I know it has been quite some time since I've uploaded. I've taken a little bit of a hiatus, focusing on my university work, but we are back, and we are back with a very, very spicy deck profile. A deck that I piloted for the very first time this weekend and did relatively well using. It's very, very fun to play. Not very fun to play against, and that is Eldlich Stun, Eldlich Trap, whatever you want to call it. Made very popular by Pack TCG, a bigger YouTube channel, but still want to give a shout out to him because he brought my attention to this deck, and it's absolutely crazy. Before I get into the deck profile, two things. Firstly, I do want to say that there will be quite a few uploads in the upcoming week. Aside from this deck profile, there will be a Cyber Strike structure deck review, as well as a big giveaway attached to that, and hopefully our Burst of Destiny opening review and giveaway, which is absolutely incredible considering it's probably the best set that's come out in recent years. So that's very, very cool. In fact, you can see we've got one of the cards from that set here, which I'll get into a little bit in the deck profile. So matchups. Yesterday I played at AI Fest, which is my, I would say, regular locals that I try to attend to every week, even though I haven't played in about 5-6 weeks. And today I hit up my other, I guess, regular locals, Nexus, which I only attend maybe once a month, using this deck. Yesterday, I believe I came 6th out of almost 30 players, and today I ended up coming 2nd out of, I believe it was 18 players. Saturday at AI Fest, my matchups were Drytron in round 1, where I took one of my losses. He opened double Twin Twister and I couldn't play through it. Round 2 was against my good friend Dom. He was piloting BA. I managed to take that 2-0. Round 3 was against Joe, piloting Birds, Luralisks, but it was not yet at full power. So I managed to take that 2-0. Round 4 was against my good friend Matthew. He was using Virtual World. This deck does really, really, really well against that deck, and I managed to take that 2-0. And then the finals were against Salamangreat, and if I had won that game, I would have won the tournament. However, in game 3, match 3, he opened Red Reboot and just went into his access code OTK. You win some, you lose some. This deck can play through things like Twin Twisters and Cosmics, and even Harpy's Feather Duster in certain instances, but Red Reboot is the bane of this deck's existence. Today obviously went way, way better. In round 1, again 5 rounds, I played up against Trickstar. I took that game 2-0. Round 2 I played against, it was Cyberse, the Cyberse Talker deck, the one that extra links. I managed to take that 2-0. Game 3, match 3 was against Eldlich Dogmatika. I managed to take that 2-0. However, one of the games was very sacky. I drew Imperial Order in game 1, and as he activated Meltdown, I knew that I'd won that game. So I flipped IO, and I just won. Round 4 was against Phantom Knights. We went into a draw, very back and forth game. I think I had game 3 if time wasn't called, but it would have definitely been a grindy back and forth game, so I can't say for sure. And then the finals today was against my good friend Ben. He was piloting Eldlich Dogmatika, a very control combo mid-range type deck. Very interesting, but I did manage to take that 2-0 as well. The Ice Dragon's Prison and our in archetype DD Crow is just too strong against zombie type decks. So that's pretty much it for matchups. It went quite well. I'm very happy with the deck. Not sure how it's going to perform in the upcoming formats. With Sword Soul making not only negation but also disruptions, this deck might not fare well, but maybe with new cards like Lord of the Heavenly Prison, it can still compete. Anyway, let's get straight into the deck profile. So of course, for our monsters, we have to play 2 Eldritch Golden Lord. Would never play 3. Seeing this in your hand going second is really nice. Seeing it in your hand going first is terrible, but sometimes it's good. That means you have a follow-up, and it is an insanely strong card. Both effects are absolutely cracked. Without this card, the deck wouldn't exist. It's absolutely insane. I didn't use the send effect, I think, today once, but I did use its revive effect. Yesterday I used the send effect a lot, the send and the revival effect, which actually comes up quite a lot. We then play the one Ecclesia, so yes, it is that version of the deck. I would perhaps like to play a Fleur-de-Lis, maybe not in the main, maybe in the side, just because I feel like Ecclesia getting access to a bigger monster could put a lot more pressure, because at the end of the day, this deck is just you're poking until eventually you win. And then I did opt to main deck the 3 Inspector Border. Reason being is I wanted a different normal summon that was just as impactful as Ecclesia, and I didn't want to play more Ecclesias. So I ended up choosing to play Inspector Border. I know a lot of people play this in the side, because what they end up doing is in game 1, your opponent doesn't see any monsters except these 3, so then they take out all their monster hate, whether it be effect veilers, whether it be imperms, droplets, and then you bring these in when you're going first, and it's a blowout. However, I felt like just stealing those game 1s that when we win the dice roll was more optimal, and then you side these out for better, in quotation mark, cards for your games 2 and 3. So that's pretty much it for the monsters. No Gamma package, which I know is also commonly used in the deck. I just felt like traps were better, and you could break more boards with your traps. For the spells, we are playing 2 Duality. Reason being is I don't own Prosperities, but I don't think I would play Prosperities because we are playing the triple Extrav. I don't know, a lot of people go back and forth between Prosperity and Duality, and at the end of the day, they both technically achieve the same thing, except the one locks you out of specialing, but another locks you out of drawing. So it's kind of weird. Prosperity conflicts with Extravagance more, but Duality sometimes, conflicts with your Golden Lord players. So it's a bit strange, but I think Duality is definitely the better of the 2, and in fact would even consider playing 3, but drawing 2 of this card is terrible. Drawing 2 of this is also terrible, but this is a +1, so it's not as bad. These cards are insane. A lot of people also main deck Nadir. If I were to main deck Nadir, I would definitely cut the Dualities, but for now the Nadirs are in my side deck. Then for the Eldlich engine, obviously it's 3 Sanguine Elixir of Scarlet Sanguine. This card is absolutely cracked. We all know the loop. As soon as you get literally any one Eldlich card, the engine starts itself and it never really ends. There hasn't been a single game where I've used every single Eldlich card and burned through all of them. So it's just, proves how absolutely insane the deck is. And then we obviously got 3 Conk. Cue the footage of, I believe his name is Milano, another Yugi tuber, where it explores a Eldritch player and how you just throw conks at them until you run out of conks, and then you lose. Now that isn't the case all the time, and like I said, there isn't many times where you get through all 3, but you obviously need to play all 3 because that is your best form of disruption. And then we've got 3 Hakueros of the Golden Land. Not 3, sorry, 2. I was actually going to say, I was considering playing 3 just because of how big it is. At the end of the day, you are just playing monkey flip beatdown, basically, and Hakuero being 1800 is very, very impactful, especially with Conk only being 500 attack. But it's funny, Conk being 500 attack today actually won me a game, which is insane. But yeah, this is pretty much it for the Eldlich cards. The reason we don't play Curse of the Old Land is because it always gets negated, and it also takes up a space that could be filled with impactful trap cards such as Strike and Judgment. So these cards are mad. Strike definitely being the better of the 2, just in a normal, grindy, simplified game state, but Judgment saving you from all those huge blowout cards at back row. You need to play both, and even going second, Judgments and Strike are absolutely crazy. You have to keep the strikes in for combinations with your punishments and your torrential tributes. The Judgments you could argue to side out sometimes, but again, it's just really good going in that third turn. When it's your opponent's turn, when they start committing cards to the board, you can just Judgment negate them. It's absolutely insane. I stopped an Idea's Servant today in the finals at Nexus, and it pretty much won me the game. Absolutely insane. Then the only Floodgate I play at 3, I say at 3 because there is another Floodgate in the deck, is Goes and Match. Reason for this is Inspector Border, Ecclesia, all of your Eldlich traps, and your Golden Lords themselves are all light monsters. So this doesn't conflict with the deck too much, but it does hurt a lot of the decks that are currently in the format, and that are actually going to be coming up in the format. Sword Soul obviously all being different types. No, not all different types, they're all worms, sorry. All different attributes is definitely something to consider when playing this card. I didn't want to play Rivalry because Rivalry then does conflict with your Inspector Borders, Ecclesias, and your Eldlich cards. So this is the one I opted to play. It did win me my games against Virtual World yesterday at AR Fest, which is, not a difficult matchup for this deck, but it's definitely one that can get out of hand. Their Trap card, as well as their Synchro that banishes your cards when they leave the field, they can be very problematic to keep your engine going. So yeah, this card ruins them. We're playing 3 of the best Trap card probably ever printed. Arguably better in this deck than it is in Sid. As Pac has mentioned in the past, this card gives you access to all of your utility cards in your extra deck, which are absolutely cracked. When I get there, I'll show you what we have, and it's just insane. It's just a really strong card. Not much to say. It's searchable for Ecclesia, and because we're playing the Deers in the side deck, it becomes even more searchable in those game 2s and 3s. We're then playing double Torrential Tributes. So the reason we're only playing 2 is because I only own 2 secret rares. I wish I was joking, but that is the reason. I do have a 3rd copy as a common, but I'm hoping to pick up a 3rd secret rare. But also, 9 out of 10 times, when this card becomes useful is when you already have an established board. So it's a bit of an iffy card. I know it's absolutely insane going second. You set this with a strike and you pretty much win the game. You go plus like 5. It's insane. But I don't know. It's a card that I've always been cautious about, because getting rid of your own monsters is a big sacrifice, especially if you've got an established Inspector Border with a Golden Lord and you're poking away. Then one of the best traps in the game, Ice Dragon's Prison. This card just gets better and better with every format that releases decks that are same types. This card is absolutely cracked. Again, we only play 2 because it is a hard once per turn. We play 2 Dynamiscus just for some generic removal. As weird as it sounds, a deck like this, Stun, does actually lose quite hard to Mystic Mine, because you need to be able to poke away at them to get it to a point in the game where you're threatening lethal, and this actually outs Mystic Mine, which is really good. Also, you can sometimes change it to get that extra body and then use it as link material for one of the generic links that we have in the extra deck. Then for the one-ofs, 1 trap trick, so we're basically playing 3 of every trap, normal trap that is. And then we play the 1 skill drain and the 1 Imperial Order. I want to cut the skill drain really badly. I don't like this card. It stops your Inspector Border, and although it's a blowout against certain decks, every deck I played this weekend could play through it. Virtual World themselves played this card. It's insane. So I don't know. I'm not liking this card too much. So I might cut it for the 3rd Torrential. But for now, this is what I used for the weekend. Again, this deck, as much as it looks very flashy, it isn't flashy at all. Like, every card in here has a reprint. Inspector Border has an Ultra reprint from a Megaton a while ago. Ecclesia just got reprinted. Eldlich Golden Lord is getting reprinted. Extravs are getting reprinted. Dualities have rares. The entire Eldlich engine is getting reprinted in the next gold set. Strikes have a common printing in a structure deck not too long ago. Solemns had a printing in the original set that the Golden Lords came in. Goes and Match have multiple common printings in the supers. Punishments are commons, supers, secrets, torrentials, commons everywhere. IDP just got a reprint, still a little bit expensive, but you could easily just switch this out for something like Karma Cut. You could put in something like Compulsory Evacuation Device, sort of achieves the same thing but not really. Dynamiscus, bit of an expensive card, but it does have multiple printings. Imperial Order has a common, Skill Drain has the Lost Art, and then Trap Trick has a super rare. So this whole deck has been reprinted at one point or another, and the price of it is actually not that insane. It's a deck that anyone could pick up. I mean, I had most of the cards. The only thing I didn't have was the Golden Lords. And the actual Golden Lord engine, and I picked that up recently from a friend because it's getting reprinted, so he wasn't afraid to let go of it. But yeah, for the extra deck we play one Conserve Ladies. As you can see here, it has been reprinted at some point. We play one Super Dreadnought Rail Cannon Gustav Max. I don't have the, I think it's Libre, or whatever it's called, the one that goes over it and then you make a Zeus. I don't really feel like it's necessary. 9 out of 10 times you're just making this and burning for game. You're not using the Libre or whatever. So it's just there. Also, it's 3000 attack for your Dogmatika punishments. We play the Omega. Obviously, this is to loop not only our own cards but our opponents. The Adignister, this is to shuffle back a card targeting when they pop your back row. Titanclad, so that if you do have to resolve a punishment and you haven't got access to your Dogmatika loop yet, you can just add your Ecclesia and then get into that loop. We play the one App Cologne. This is obviously to send our Aerial, which is in the side, so you can get a triple DD Pro. Absolutely insane. Triple Entus, the only card that really matters. Shout outs to Michael for loaning me this. Blackluster Soldier, Soldier of Chaos. Again, 3000 for your Dogmatika punishment, but also an untargetable, unkillable, monster that is just insane that you can make with your Golden Lords. Really, really good. I do need to get a hold of one myself. Hopefully the ulti, not the ulti is easy to get. Hopefully the ulti makes this card cheaper. Tri-Brigade Ferrigite, this is to dump off of our Nadir and then draw a card. Also, sometimes you get to do it off of punishment if you're popping a monster that's not very strong. The best card in the extra deck that you actually use, Liner, shout outs to Robbie for lending me this one. I'm not sure if it is mine just yet. He said he might have two, so but this card is insane. It can search your Ecclesia, it can monster reborn your opponent's Ecclesia, and then you can go into Blackluster Soldier. We play the one hip Hoshingen. This is just for OTKs. I like this deck in OTK. We play the Paleozoic, which is cracked with Nadir. You can't send this to add your targets because obviously everything is above 1500, but you can use Maximus to send this, and this protects your entire back row. If they're Harpies, you banish this and just protect all your set cards. And then we play the One Link Spider just to utilize those Eldritch traps and then get the elixir searches to get into your Golden Lords. Pretty much it for the extra deck. It's not standard. It's the strangest extra deck I've ever played with, but it's all utility cards. It's cards that you're probably never going to use except maybe Pallades and Link Spider, but the rest are all cards that once you've sent them, they get some value, which is absolutely insane. Then to the side, which definitely is a work in progress because I only have one of this guy. This guy is mad. This wall of text here says you win the game when he is summoned, especially in this deck. Actually, primarily in this deck. Not only does it give you access to any spell or trap in your deck, which you then can use the next turn, but it's an insane card. 3000 protects your entire back row, similar to the Paleo, except you don't have to banish it or summon it to resolve the protection. It's just protected. It's insane. This card is definitely a 3 of in the side. I would say. Not in the main, because obviously not many people are main decking back row removal, but it's definitely a card to get to 3. For the other one-ofs, we play 1 Maximus, 1 Aerial. Maximus is for the combo with Nadia's Servants. So what you end up doing is you go Nadia's Servants, you dump whatever, it actually doesn't matter. You add your Ecclesia, normal Ecclesia, add Maximus. Maximus banishes whatever, summons itself, and then you use Maximus effect and you send the Paleo, and you can send anything else, and then that Paleo is the thing that protects all your spells and traps. So that's the little combo. And then obviously Aerial, when you dump your Al-Shaddal app clone, you can then dump this, and then you can you add this to hand, then dump it, and then you get a triple DU clone. Also, sometimes hard drawing this is not terrible. You can just Dynamiscus and then banish 3 anyway. Banish their monster on field and 3 in their grave. I would keep those in the side. Wouldn't cut those for the 2 extra copies of the Heavenly Prison. I'll show you what I would cut for that. We then play 3 Lava Golem. This card is cracked. You Lava Golem them, and then they either have to out it themselves or they'll burn to death, or you just out it with a Conch. It's an insane card. I don't think Sphere Mode is better in certain instances, because most decks right now are ending on 2, sometimes not even 2, sometimes just 1. But because we don't care about our normal that much, and this is inside, you know, you side out the Inspector Borders, side these in, and you just clear anything that's problematic, Dragoons, you know, anything. 3 Nadirs, I've spoken enough about these. You usually put these in going second to break boards, but sometimes going first you can do that combo if you know the stuff they're going to send off of the Maximus isn't, you know, going to hurt you. I made that mistake in round 1 at AI. The first time ever playing this deck against Drytron, they just sent a Herald and a Enters, popped my Maximus, and ended up adding a Benton, which gave them full combo. So you need to be careful with the combo, but this is an insane card, absolutely mad. 3 Broken Lines, so one of these would be cut for the other Heavenly Lord. Obviously, if people know you're playing this, they're going to play around it, but it's still absolutely insane going second. You said it in the columns that you know, they're monsters that have effects, or you know, have effects that are going to activate in the next turn, and you can just stop them. You can set it in the columns of very important spells and traps, stop them. It's just an insane card. Definitely would cut 1 though for a second Heavenly Lord, and then the 3rd card we cut for the Heavenly Lord is 1 of the Heavy Storm Dusters. We've got enough stuff to blow up face up spells and traps, whether it's Conch, whether it's Dynamiscus, but we do need a little bit of that extra spell and trap disruption. Even though Nadia is technically MST, you just dump Antis and then you pop a spell or trap card, you still need a little bit more, and with Trap Trick 2 of this is probably okay, with the 3rd then being another Heavenly Prison guy. So that's pretty much it for the deck profile. It feels really good doing a deck profile after all this time, and like I said, uploads should be coming back within this week. There should be an upload for the Cyber Strike structure deck, a review, as well as a pretty big giveaway, and there will be a Bode opening stash review / giveaway as well, I hope. And then finally, depending on what we pull out of Bode, there should also be a Evil Twin deck profile, which is what I would have been playing this weekend if I managed to get 2 to 3 copies of the Link 4, but unfortunately I only was able to get 1, and that's not feasible with the deck, unfortunately. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this deck profile, and this is Future Knight, signing out.